and this is something that I get a lot. People always ask, what are you? Are you Sunni? Are you what's the other one? Shia? Yeah. Are you Ahmadi? Sufi? Ahmadiyya?
Yeah. 2 different sects. Yeah.
Why is the question that I have? Because I always tell them it doesn't matter. You know, I'm Muslim. That should be the thing.
That's
the only thing. Yeah, that's what I always tell them. And but my whole thing is, why is that always a conversation? You know, amongst our Muslim, you know, people. Why is that always a conversation? Because I feel like as soon as you say, "Oh, you're Sunni," it's like, okay, well, I'm a Dia, so. But it shouldn't be that. You know, it shouldn't be that. It should be you Muslim, you Muslim. You know, that's how it should be.
You see what I'm saying? You see how rude that is as far as somebody asking what sect you're from? You know, so like you said, the overall point and message is that I said La ilaha illallah wa Muhammadan Rasulullah. So we have that in common. Let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on day of judgment, let him sort it out. You know, we'll figure it out that day. But right now, I'm making my salah. I'm praying to the same God you're praying to. I may not do it exactly the way you're doing it because, you know, and I get it. I done seen it, you know, over a period of years. There's a lot of, you know, different ways that brothers pray, school of thought, you know. But alhamdulillah, you know, again, I try to be evasive to those questions or I change it, you know, without being offensive to the person that's asking. I'm a follower of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what you should say. I think that's the best answer. What he was, that's what I am striving to be.
That's awesome.
How do you feel about that, Anne?
That's a large topic, man.
That's a huge
topic. And it circles back around to a hadith of Rasulullah where he said there will be 72 or 73 sects that will follow him, and only one sect is the chosen sect. But he didn't make it known which one it was going to be. Now there's a few differences, and some of these if I can add, are major differences. But that shouldn't allow you to treat your brother any differently. You know what I mean? Be them Christian, be them Jewish, be them Hindus, be them from any other faith. It's the knowledge of God that separates our understanding, and we shouldn't look down upon other because who God bestows the knowledge upon and who He guides can change. For instance, all 3 of us just sitting right here it's our knowledge that we've been guided by God to this beautiful light, right? It's just that easily that this guidance can be taken away from us if we don't use or if we don't apply rightly the principles that have been laid down.
Exactly.
Right? And one of those principles is to treat everybody like you would like to be treated yourself. And all major religions talk about that. So Islam shouldn't be this restrictive religion that it is seen by people around the world.
Yeah.
And be them Shia, be them Ahmadi, you should be tolerant.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons why a lot of I would say the Muslim youth, because that's a lot of that's a lot of people, and that's where I get a lot of my messages from. It's from the youth, and they're saying that the strictness of it, you know, is what makes them feel as leaving.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And I told them, I said, you know, the strictness of it, whether it's coming from your parents or your guardian, that's because they love you and they want to make sure that you don't get misguided in a sense. So don't feel it as if they're attacking you or if they're trying to take you away from your friends or whatever that the cause might be. They're just making sure that you don't go down the road that they've seen other people go down, or maybe the road that they've been down.
Yes.
Right.
I really don't like when they use the term strict. That word alone, I like to replace the word strict with discipline. And that's all it is, and that's normalcy for a team to feel like there's too much discipline and self-control involved there. And because we wild cannons at that age, you know what I mean? So, or loose cannons, should I say? But ultimately, the discipline side of it, that's what they are fighting against. And why and they apply the word strict to replace the discipline and self-control. Oh, I can't go to this party, I can't go on a date, You know what I mean? And things of that nature, because it's in this Western culture, it's the norm. So it feel like they are missing out, you know, opposed to, you know, living according to this deen. You know, but ultimately, you know, if it's emphasized patiently to them or that individual, they should get it. And again, you know, dua is the best thing you could do after that. You know what I mean? Because it's ultimately up to them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has to be applied to your heart. This is the key to everything.
Yeah.
This is the key to everything. Allah said, I expanded your breast. And that means to adapt to this dunya that he places in, world that he places in, to be able to adjust and maneuver, you know, in a positive and a safe and a servitude type of way, you know, without distracting yourself or others. And our whole objective, you have a right on me, I have a right on you, vice versa. We are supposed to help one another get back to Jannah, inshallah, heaven, inshallah. So that's my goal, just to set the example. Don't worry about who's watching, because you know who's overall watching. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, so don't just do you and become the best you. That's it. You know, don't worry about the brother. He over here reading the Holy Quran. Alhamdulillah, though. He's reading the Holy Quran in Arabic fluently.
It's okay to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to ask questions.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the other thing about the youth, that they feel that, maybe amongst their peers, when they ask a question, people start to laugh. So they're like, oh, you know, I'm not asking. It's okay to ask questions.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's gonna know everything, but somebody's gonna know something that you don't know. So it's okay to ask it's okay to ask questions.
Yes.
And I think that's another thing that's, the problem.
There's a story in the Quran, and I'm a volunteer. I'm one of the coordinators for a youth group at a local masjid. And one of the things that I talk to them about often is the importance of asking questions. One of the stories in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, is where Ibrahim, the Prophet Abraham alayhi salam, asked God, إذ قال إبراهيم ربي أرني كيف تحيي الموتى. He asked Allah how he brings life from the dead. And God didn't say, how dare you ask me a question like that. He illustrated how he gave life by showing him an example. He asked him to cut up a bird and put him in 4 distinct corners. And once he was done, stand at a particular location, and the bird would form itself and come to him. God didn't say to him, how dare you ask me this question? I'm the creator. Do you not believe me? So that particular lesson, the lesson that I extracted from that example is the importance of asking questions. Asking questions.
Yes, great.
The companions of the Prophet asked a lot of questions, which is why the religion is so comprehensive. A lot of questions were asked, and one should never shy away from asking questions about Islam.
I was just going to conclude, your faith is not based on just your intelligence alone. Most importantly, it's based on how much you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, again, you got scholars, imams, muftis and things of that nature. Alhamdulillah, everybody's not going to be that. Does that mean you're not going to Jannah?
No,
of course not. So, you know, again, it goes back, just become the best you. You know, that Allah has created you. There's no one, you are one of a kind, be the best you. I recommend that Whaatwaa family. Be the best you.
That you can be.
And just keep believing in the one creator.
Yes. And take your time.
Yeah, take your time. Patience is a requirement in Islam. You got to have a lot of patience.
One thing that I'd like to add is, like, within the same family, the dynamic is not always the greatest. You have disagreements with your family members, your parents, your brothers, your sisters. Nobody's always on the same page. And now when you talk about people from different faith groups, from different sects within Islam, there's obviously going to be differences. But upon every disagreement, you don't rebel and you don't storm out, you don't curse at your parent. You don't do that, or at least majority of us. I would want to assume that you
shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
But everybody gets flustered, and you might
but
but make sure you ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, but regardless of your differences, it's very important to be tolerant and teach them the principles of peace. The Prophet Abraham, again, when he had disagreements with his father, and his father said, "Well, if you don't leave from here, you will get stoned." Right? And to him, the Prophet Abraham, alayhi salam, his response was golden. He said, "Peace be upon you." So in the face of the staunchest opposition from your father, somebody that's a part of your family, and you're talking to him about this monotheistic faith, which you believe in so earnestly, he said peace. And that should be our outlook.
Yeah.
That's your name too. Salam, mashallah.
That's the beautiful part about that. Again, these names are chosen. It was a lot of names. My older cousin, he introduced his dean to me, and he was just naming names. And I was just waiting, and he said, "Don't worry about just picking anyone, just the one you feel." And that's what gravitated to me. That salam, I was like, that's me. As far as my characteristics and attributes, that's me naturally. I invoke and promote peace, and that over anything. You know what I mean? So, alhamdulillah, this is beautiful though, brother. And I thought it was gonna rain.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Just to piggyback off what you said, where I got Hamza from was watching that movie, The Message.
Oh man!
And when I watched that movie and seeing how the uncle to the Prophet, how he was fighting and doing everything, and then at the end, the very end, he died for it. I said, that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I gravitated more to him, and I was like, Hamza, that's gonna be my name.
They call you.
Do you know?
Yeah, it just.
Do you know what he's called in our tradition? What he's called Sayyid al-Shuhada. Sayyid al-Shuhada. Shahid is a witness, but he's also another meaning of Shahid is a martyr. And he is the leader of the martyrs. That's at least to my knowledge, that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
And I may not be the most knowledgeable. But and he has a very lofty position in this tradition.
Yeah, and I just feel like it holds weight, and I feel like it's big shoes to fill, but I just gravitated more to that name. So if she was to pass without reversing, what happens after that?
That's a beautiful question. I really don't have the overall, but the best thing we can do for our non-Muslim families and friends is make dua for them now. Because once they pass on, we can't, not even our own mother or children. If they haven't taken their claim to Shahada, we can't make dua for them.
Because the same thing happened. My father-in-law, Beatties, my wife's father, passed, and the state in which, when he died, he wasn't a Muslim. When he passed, he wasn't Muslim. So that was one of the questions that we had as far as du'as are concerned. Are we able to make du'a for the deceased knowing that they haven't accepted Islam and it's not permissible? But if this comes as a consolation, I hope this does what I'm about to say. One of the imams that I was talking to, and I had a similar question to him, because the description in the Quran that I read, taking a literal meaning, not doing any sort of research, I was troubled by it, right? The fate of people that don't accept Islam. But that's me with my limited knowledge, without any research, taking a verse into a certain context. And his response was beautiful. He said, "You cannot control what happens to them, but you can, in a way, control what happens to you now. So if you choose to be with somebody that's Muslim, alhamdulillah, my wife is Muslim. Inshallah, if we're blessed with kids, my intention will be to teach them about Islam, teach them about the principles. Inshallah, may Allah guide them continuously, and everybody else. But you cannot control what happens to the state of somebody else's heart. Only God controls that, and God says that, Allah says that in the Quran to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the point where he, based on the based on his knowledge of what was happening to the polytheists and the disbelievers, right? He was so troubled that it was unsettling. It was troubling him too much, and he said, "You don't control the affairs of their hearts." I'm paraphrasing. Only Allah does. So the more we pull ourselves out of the equation and what we can do, knowing fully well that our capabilities are limited, the more we can channel our energy to the people that we know that we may spark some, benefit. For instance, you and your audience, right? And this is one good thing that you're doing right now. Whatever you're learning, you're sharing with them.
Right.
And they're with you on this journey. And even with them, like your family, you cannot control what happens to their heart. But what you can control is how much you learn. And to what you said, you got to be the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
And the more you learn from this beautiful light that God is trying to share with you, the more you radiate it out, and you hope that people extract that light out of you, or they themselves receive some light from God, right?
Exactly.
And that's the best thing to do. It's hard.
Yes, it is hard.
It's hard because you don't want anything bad to happen to your parent or your relative or people that are really close to you. And it's one of the hardest things that us believers go through,
And that's where you definitely have to overall know within that Allah is in full control. He's the Al-Alim. He's the knower of all things. So you make the best do as you can while they are here, while you are here in this dunya. You know what I mean? And whatever happens after that is between them and Allah. We all have a debt that we have to pay. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, I don't want to take too much of you guys' time.
No, man.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I get into these conversations and I just get sunken into them. And
I'm enjoying it, man.
No, this is what we're called to. This is what we're called to. But and this is a hadith also in our beautiful tradition that says that if there's a gathering and you all invoke the name of Allah and you remember Him, Allah mentions your name in a gathering better than the one that you're in. Yeah.
Yes.
And the scholars have maintained that this gathering that is better than us is the gathering of the angels. And if he is if he's informing them of us, what a lofty pleasure that is. I can't even wrap my head around that. You know what I mean?
Right. I heard that before too.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. It's beautiful, man. This deen is beautiful. It brings out, if you are truly believing into, what you accept, the oath that you have made between you and your Creator, it's truly rewarding, and it actually brings out the best of you.
Yes.
Even when you are at the stages of development, you are still progressing, and you much better than what you was before you took your clean shahada. So alhamdulillah, I am totally grateful and thankful. MashaAllah. So
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna ask, because I just keep asking these questions, but I just want to know, last year, what did y'all use to basically for Eid? What was the meal for Eid last year? Do you remember?
It's traditional, right?
I can't remember.
Do you remember what your Eid?
And to be completely honest, didn't have a great Ramadan last year.
Really?
I mean, it was just difficult as far as because the job, it kind of like that's the only thing. Again, being in the Western culture, it's hard to observe your practice when it's a demand on the job and things of that nature. It was different, but may Allah bring ease to us all. And for all the the followers and viewers, making it a lot better for us this year.
Inshallah. Yeah, I'm just hoping. I believe that they're going to open things back up in April. We'll see. We'll see. Inshallah, we'll see.
One question that I have for you gentlemen. I know you don't like being asked this question, so I'm gonna try to rephrase it in a different way.
Go ahead.
In your journey thus far as a Muslim, respectively, what has been a struggle for you thus far in your journey? If there's been a struggle, because because there's different ways that unite us, right, as people, and struggle is one of them. Like if you're going through a certain similar sort of pain, I can empathize, and that unifies you. The other thing is obviously a common ground, but what or the understanding of a certain thing. What are your?
Well, I would say one of mine is, you know, there will be some times where I feel like I'm not the best Muslim I can be, in a sense. So a lot of times, I don't know if it's because I feel like I need to be more harder on myself, and then it could go into, you know, I do sometimes compare myself to others, which I shouldn't be doing.
Right.
But sometimes I might look at others, like I might look at y'all and be like, man, these guys are really like into it, and I'm trying to get there, but it's hard. And then when I hear both of y'all, it's like when I hear both of y'all speaking Arabic, I'm like, I don't have no Arabic right now, and I just, you know, so it's like, that's why, you know, I think that's what it is. Like I feel like I'm not the best Muslim that I can be. I'm trying, but it's like I still feel like I'm not the best Muslim I can be. I think that's one of my problems or struggles. And then also my daily prayers. You know, to be honest with you guys, I think I only pray one time. To be honest, you know, make salah.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to be completely honest with y'all, I only make salah one time. I think I do it maybe before I go to bed. If I miss doing it before I go to bed, then I'll do it at work in the break room. You know, I have a prayer mat in my car, and I have a prayer mat at my desk, and I have a prayer mat at home. Now I have another prayer mat, so I have 4. But you know, and I think that's really my issue. So when I hear other people say, you know, oh, I get my 5 daily prayers done, and I just sit quietly, like, you know, like, how do you do that? Because it's like my life is so demanding with work and this and that, and sometimes I'll miss, like you were saying, you were like, I'm gonna be late because I'm getting prayer in. I'm like,
or
you know, so I think that's the problem with me, and that's what difficulties I have, you know, being Muslim.
And you know, we mentioned it as far as the job, you know, you're not gonna have your wudu all day. You know, your ablution. So that becomes a problem to where you can't go and properly do that, and then it's just all inconvenient. You know, when it comes to trying to maintain your 5 obligatory prayers. You know, alhamdulillah, though, brother. And to be honest, alhamdulillah, Allah knows best. Allah's right. I have recently, probably the end of last year, just started making my 5 daily salats regularly. Alhamdulillah, because mine was like yours, random, whenever I could get it in. So, you know, it's just time, patience. You apply yourself, always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you with anything. That's with anything. Anything that you are, you know, anything that you have intention, you have a niyat to grow closer to Allah, to establish a communication and a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you always ask and invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, that is the key. He is the owner of all things, even your deepest thoughts. So we need Allah in every facet of our lives.
What you mentioned, I beg to differ as far as the first point that you made, in the sense that you said you believe that you could be a better Muslim, right? But that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's the state of a believer, is constantly that, where they're telling, because think about the opposite of it, right? If you feel like you've done enough, that you're showing arrogance, and you're not that. So your thirst for knowledge, your want, and your want to learn, you know, different things about this beautiful faith of ours, that is a sign of belief, and that is a blessing from God. So I would encourage you to, you know, not be too hard on yourself. You've only been Muslim for about a year or so now, and mashallah, man, you're doing way more than some of the other Muslims that I have known through my life thus far, and in their journey at the outset and what they did. And trust me, Allah knows your struggles. Allah knows your struggles.
Absolutely.
As long as you know that you need to improve, that is all that you need in this beautiful faith. Like, you know, you don't need to go above and beyond. Rasulullah said extremities weren't encouraged by him. Like, you know, don't go. There's a tradition, there's a narration where Salman al-Farisi, one of probably the most important companions of the Prophet So Salman al-Farisi, radiallahu anhu, he was one of the, if not, well, he was one of the most important companions. Okay, and when he was living along with, so the people, I don't want to digress too much, but trust there's a point that I'm.
Yes, go ahead.
So the people that emigrated to Medina were called the muhajirs, and the people that already lived in Medina when the Prophet arrived in Medina were called the ansar, the helpers. So the helpers and the immigrants, the muhajir. So Salman al-Farisi, being from Persia, he emigrated, and he was a slave in Medina before the Prophet ﷺ came. And when he started living with one of the ansars, his name was Abu Darda, right? Abu Darda was a character of his own self, radiallahu anhu. He would pray excessively. He would indulge in acts of worship that were encouraged, obviously, but he would do them a lot, to the point where his wife started feeling that not enough attention was being provided towards her, right? And so she complained to Salman al-Farisi, considering the fact that he was another companion of the Prophet ﷺ, and that maybe he would throw some insight. And he said something pretty wise. He said, your family has a right over you, God has a right over you, and your body has a right over you. So don't go into too many extremes. And Abu Darda was offended by this, so he went to Rasulullah ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ confirmed that. So don't feel that you have to go over and beyond. Know that this overwhelming feeling that you have right now, this catch up that you're trying to play, will pass. That you gotta let that sink in too. And take it slow.
That's why I smiled when you said that, because that is a beautiful attribute to have, and it's humbling. You know what I mean? And that's what, regardless what level you feel you need to be at, say for instance, hypothetically, inshallah, that you obtain this knowledge that you want and learn how to speak Arabic fluently, would you not still be grateful and humble?
Yes.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter where you are, just keep that no matter what journey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take you through. Always be appreciative for everything you give.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, that was the difficulty that I was feeling. I appreciate, the advice that y'all gave. I really needed that. I really needed that, because a lot of times I'll be hard on myself, so it's good to know that I can,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The minute you think you know everything or know enough, you don't know nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm right with you. I might be sounding impressive. I'm still metaphorically a baby in this as well. So I have no problem with that. Again, it's okay with me. I just want to make it to Jannah.
Yeah, man.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah. So, our brother here, so alhamdulillah, I just want to shake your hand on camera. Whaatwaa family, beautiful brother right here, just in that brief moment. You don't have to be with someone for years to sense that they have love and beauty in their heart. And it's identifiable. When your light is open and bright, you can sense that from others. Alhamdulillah. And it's a blessing also to see my brother and meet him in person. I've been watching him just like y'all have. Alhamdulillah, he's a great guy. Alhamdulillah,
Thank you. All right, guys.
So, one last thing. I really want to take this time to appreciate you as a person, and I've based on our conversations, I'm seeing growth in you.
Thank you.
I'm seeing struggle, because it's struggle that characterizes people. Everybody's good and dandy in great times, but it's a struggle between people that characterizes who they are. Right? And the fact that you're going through some struggles of your own, although my struggles and Brother Salim's struggle may not be the same, but it is identifying the fact that we're going through some struggle that kind of unifies us, and we're on the same journey. And I really do appreciate what you're doing with your life and with your audience, and I really hope and pray that Allah bestows His keys to knowledge upon you, and that you may succeed in staying away from the hellfire. There's a subtlety. People can go to Jannah, but we don't wish that they go to the hellfire first. So So may Allah always give you the best in this life and the next, and may your audience and the people around you see the light and see the light in you and only want some more of that. You know what I mean?
Hey man, my brothers, alhamdulillah, I love y'all.
This is good. This is
Pleasure
good.
meeting you, man.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, yeah, just you can back it up, back the camera up so you can. I want to, yeah, because this is gonna be nice. Thank you so much.
Very
You
good.
can snap. Yeah, just keep snapping. Okay, we just.
It was nice.
Oh, it was good.
I got it.
She's like, trust me, I got it.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Out of love, man. Hey, I knew he was kind of tall too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people don't know.
Oh yeah.